And in some cultures, if you get complimented, you would think, what does this person want from me?
Yeah.
But it's not true. It's a cult. Someone gave that download to us, like it's someone's program. If someone is complimenting you, they just want to connect. Oh my goodness, they had the courage and they had the energy. And sometimes they need to have the respect for you and the self-respect for themselves to compliment you. It's not easy.
Welcome to RetreatBoss, the podcast. Here is your host, Catherine Kontos. Today on RetreatBoss, I'm so excited to have my friend Gil Petersil here with us today to talk about the master connector, which is himself. He is truly the master connector. I have experienced his gift that he just has innately. I don't know if it just came to him innately or it was something that he had to work on. We'll find out in this podcast, which is also going to be covered on RetreatBoss magazine as well. He is also the Chief Visionary Officer and co-founder of Chatea. I can't wait to hear more about that as well. Welcome, Gil, to the RetreatBoss podcast.
Thank you so much for doing this. I love it. Yes, I'm coming to you live from Bali. And yes, I want more people to be super connectors in the world and people to share the networks that we have. And it did not come to me naturally. We can all learn how to be more in service to others, to connect them, to support them. Life becomes a lot more beautiful, a lot more abundant when we have all these incredible people around us. And we're not just keeping them to ourselves. We're sharing them with other people just like you.
You know, I remember the one thing, there's a few things that you've told me over the time that we've known each other that stuck with me. And he said, when you're networking, become a friend, like look for a friend. It's not about anything else. Just make a friend for today. And I was like, that makes so much sense. And it's true because we go in there oftentimes. When I've networked in the past, you feel like a piece of meat. Right? And like there's starving people around you and they're coming after you and you're like, I don't feel good in my skin right now. I want to run out. I hated networking until I realized it doesn't have to be that way. So I want to know at which point did that happen for you where you said, this isn't working. There's got to be a better way.
You know, it's such a beautiful way to start because it is unfortunately the fact of where we are as humanity, where human connection, not only is it the most beautiful side of life, to connect with someone, to collaborate, to fall in love, to make business together, to make kids together, to make babies together. It's like to eat together. It's the extreme of like, wow, life is so much about connecting with others. On the other side, the number one fears we have as human beings are all connected to networking. Public speaking, fear of getting rejected, fear of not being wanted in a community or in an event. All of these, if you look at Google and GPT top fears that human beings have, most of them are connected to somehow human networking. So we need to just acknowledge that, hey, if like the biggest fears we have are somehow associated with networking, then of course, as humanity, we would come up with reasons and excuses why we don't like networking. I'm too busy. It's not for me. Everyone is making me feel like a piece of meat. I don't like to go to this one. There's too many like women. There's too many men. I don't have money. We've made ourselves feel comfortable to say something negative about that aspect of life so that we don't have to go there. Or if we go there, what's even worse is if we go to an event feeling that way because we are mirrors, we will treat others that way. I started feeling this very early on in my life now. I'm an introvert by nature. So for me, it's taking me so many years to start understanding that it's not about coming out of my shell or changing who I am, but it's seeing if I can hack my own code of how I am as a connector and how I am, because we are all connectors. As a baby, we all want to connect with mommy, daddy, other connectors. We love connecting with animals. We love connecting with nature. We love connecting with other babies. We're a baby. As we grow up, we go to school and we start connecting with other kids in school. There's an immediate network there. So it's just by default all around us. Now, for me, I would say that only in my early 20s, when I moved from Canada to England, I found myself in a position where it was pre-social media and it was pre-me knowing how to talk to women and me not knowing how to walk up to random people and start maybe a business discussion. And I moved to England, to London for a new job, and I found myself very lonely in my early 20s. I was 21 at the time. I was like, hey, 21, I got a good job. I want to meet a woman. I had a very simple, clear intention and direction. And I understood that if I stay the way I am as a shy introvert, and if I don't step out of my comfort zone, I'm just going to continue to be lonely. And that was a very simple motivation that I wanted to find ways of hacking. And around the same time, my parents got a divorce. And I was like, well, I want to help my mom. So I had to like find a way to network outside of my job to make another income stream. I had to like connect with someone and learn how to sell and promote. And was like, I didn't call it networking back then. I didn't know what to call it. This is 25 years ago. For me, it was more about human connection, connecting with people somehow. It's only at that stage that I started learning deeply about what it means to connect with someone and build rapport with someone and what it means to show interest in someone. And I started to learn it not necessarily by networking teachers, by a lot of practice and finding different teachers out there that can teach me aspects of communication or aspects of human connection. Or I started learning from Eckhart Tolle in a very early age about presence and what does it mean to be in the now with someone. Like it was so amazing when I learned to practice being in the now with someone, I became really good on dates with women. I would just be so present with them, just asking them good questions and letting them talk. And I was like, wow, as an introvert, I don't have to talk so much. I can just ask good questions, be fully present with them, and they like me at the end of the day. And it was all these little hacks that taught me, and it's a lot of successful failures and living in 7 countries and going through a lot of hardship that taught me all these different frameworks of real quantum networking connection.
Living in 7 countries, that means you moved 7 times, right? At least, and God knows how many times you've traveled. So every time you moved, you had to network, whether you liked it or not, in order to just enjoy your life. Forget about anything else. Business too, but I mean, just enjoy life. You cannot be isolated and travel at the same time.
Yeah, you know, you hit the nail right on the head because moving to so many is so scary. Like imagine
it's courageous.
But where does it come from? Why? Like, why is moving jobs so scary for people? Why? Where did that come? It's not my program. Someone gave me this program that sticking with one job for a long time was the right thing to do. Like my mom did it. My dad has been a carpenter for most of his life, my life at least. My brother worked for IBM for 20 years. Now he's become an entrepreneur. I think I rubbed off on him. But it's like, who taught us that moving countries, moving jobs, or even better, moving friendships? Who taught us that changing friends was hard? That's not me. I was like, I decided years ago, say, this is not my program. And from a very early age, I started changing jobs just to see what it felt like. Literally at a very young age, I started applying for jobs every week, even while I had a job, just for the sake of getting a job offer, just to see how would I be on an interview. I had a job. I was happy with it. I just wanted to practice seeing, why are people saying it's so difficult to get a job? I wanted to practice getting a job. And even at different stages where I wanted to meet a woman, I wasn't looking for other women when I had a girlfriend, but when I didn't have a girlfriend, I was not going on one date at a time. I was going to speed dating. So I was having 15 or 20 dates in one night. Speed dating, 5 minutes per date. You learn a lot about how to connect with a woman in the first 5 minutes. And also I learned that I would get over my fears. So if I know I have 15 women to meet in one event, because it's a speed dating, very beautifully managed event, if I was nervous for the first 3 or 5 women, okay, get it out of the way, Gil. You got 10 more. Like, don't be nervous. You only have 5 minutes to connect with them.
And what is it? What's the secret? How do you connect to somebody within 5 minutes?
What a question. What a question. What a question.
Because it is the first impression is really the first 5 seconds practically, right? As soon as they see you, your demeanor, your energy, right? There's already a decision that's been made. Next is the confirmation, right? The validation from what comes from you. So what would make me connect with you within the first 5 minutes of meeting with you, even if I had an adverse reaction to your energy?
Which happens.
That's a big one, right? Yeah.
Like, first of all, your questions are very powerful. They're very direct. And for people to consider these questions for themselves, these are very vulnerable questions because it's not about my secrets. We all have the answers on how to connect with human beings. We all do. We're all people who connect. By nature, what I have understood is that we're all using different codes of connecting, depending on our culture, depending on our background, depending on the type of programs that were placed in our heads. This is our methodology of connecting. This is my philosophy of following up or not following up. This would be my frameworks of building multiple friendships, so that when I moved countries, when I first moved countries, I was 10 years old. I was born in Israel, and my family moved to Canada when I was 10. I didn't have a choice to try to understand how to connect. I was 10 years old.
Right.
But I also didn't speak the language in Canada. I didn't speak French or English. So I couldn't figure out. I didn't know. Like, I knew the A, B, C, D. That's all I knew. And when I went to my first day of school, I had to like reprogram my brain to like, well, we don't speak the same language. Find a way to connect. And that was hardship. That was not easy. I remember how upset and sad I was so many days after school, coming to my mom and telling her I have no friends. Until a few months later, the teacher came up in front of the school and says that we have a new student in school. And I only understood some words, of course, at that stage. And she said his name was Ben and he's from Israel. And he spoke English perfectly because he's already lived in Canada for a while. So suddenly, not only did I find a friend, but I found friend with purpose and impact because he could translate for me. Officially, yeah. I found my first translator at the day of 10, and that was my secret. If you cannot connect directly, connect indirectly with people.
Yeah.
So find ways of cross-pollinating within the network. Find ways of finding someone that you can add value to them and they can add value to you. So when I'm connecting with people, I'm connected with intention of like, I know I can add value to you. The least I can do is show interest. The least I can do is be authentically curious into who you are. Like, I want to ask you more questions. I'll ask you twice as many questions as you ask me. You know, I'll try to see if I could serve you. At the same time, I'll see, hey, how can I be served by you? Humans are not there to be used, but humans are there to be connected with, to be collaborated with. So some people say, I don't want to be used. But hey, if more people know how to use me, I become more popular. Hey, that's good. If more people know how to use my services, I become more wealthier because people want to pay me money to use me. Wonderful. If people know how to use me, I could become even better at teaching others how I am most useful. If people want to use me, I could feel more resourceful for the world. And feeling resourceful for the world is very beautiful because I can raise my price points. I can raise my exposure. I can flourish the level of impact I'm giving to the world, all because I learned how to be more resourceful to my network. So the secrets are broken down into different frameworks. And I always start to tell people that networking doesn't start with the first impression when you meet them. Networking can actually start at home. So if I know I'm going to go to an event, I can sometimes, in some cases of events, I can check out who's coming to the event. I could check out who the speakers will be. I could check out who the organizers will be. And I could start networking with them at home. Now, this is before even social media. I don't have to write them a nice message on social media. I'm excited to see you tomorrow at the event. I'm very, very curious to hear what you're going to talk about. I'm so grateful for you organizing the event. Let me know if you need a volunteer. I'm happy to help. I've used that line so many times. I'm so excited about your event tomorrow. I'll be coming in early. If you need anyone to help, let me know. Like, imagine how many events I went to and I offered to help. Now, that I learned is also a secret. If you approach events that way authentically from the heart, you can even get free tickets to some of the greatest events in the world. Yeah. And having that mindset, that actually got me in for free for my first Tony Robbins event when I was 33 years old because I couldn't afford it. And this mindset and approaching of the how can I help you mindset, how can I serve this other person or this other community or this other company in front of me, they said to me, yes, we'd love for you to come in. And at the time I was living in Moscow. And they said, can you bring a few people from Russia? Because we've never had a group that came in from Russia. And I was like, okay, not only can I serve them and come in for free to the event, nice, but also suddenly they're giving me a responsibility of a promoter. Wow. At the age of 33 with no planning, I became the first promoter for the Russian market for Tony Robbins. I was like, I don't speak Russian very well. How am I going to bring a few people all the way from Russia to land in England? And that's where resourcefulness comes in, where if we practice being useful to others, it's a really good secret. We become really, it's like playing the piano. It's like learning how to cook. We start to master these different codes of networking. So that's just one of the secrets on how we can be useful, how we can be resourceful, and how we can really start networking at home. Is a very complex, multi-layered way of starting to network.
And it shows smart. It's smart business, but it also, when you approach somebody and you already know a little bit about them, whether you reveal it or not, right? Because that's your choice at that point, you're already connected to them, period. Like that energy and everything, like you're already connected with them because number one, you have an interest in these people for whatever reason, because there's something in common, or they could be useful, or you could be useful to them, whatever that is. So right away, you have that connection. What I want to ask you now, that's fantastic. That's great value that you're bringing to people that maybe they don't realize. I always say the real connection comes after the event, right? The deep stuff, the real partnerships, the real collaborations, or the real relationships. Do you agree with that? That really it's after the event that it could really get to the core of whatever purpose that is?
You're very, very insightful, and clearly, because I know you and I know what you do, you're on a constant journey yourself to master human connection. And I think it's a never-ending journey. I think it's a constant learning journey to see in what aspects of human connection, which is truly complex and beautiful, can we improve. And network have set to spiritual practices. I've written many, many frameworks for corporations and governments and entrepreneur organizations and countless amount of people over the last 15 years that have asked me to give them frameworks and codes and methodologies, not just to connect, but yes, as you said, to reconnect. In the corporate world, we've learned it to be called following up. But to me, reconnection is a huge spiritual practice of having the discipline and the mindfulness approach of saying, hey, I met this person yesterday or last week or even last month, and I'm going to have the discipline to follow up with them. And that is broken down, and that is not simple because many times we are too busy to follow up, or we don't know how to follow up, or we undervalue ourselves and we say, oh, this person is sitting on a pedestal, they're too busy for me, they're not going to respond. Or even worse, we follow up with them once and we never follow up again because of our ego. Oh, they read my message and they haven't sent me a message back, they don't like me. What is wrong with human beings? Why would we think negatively about connection? If we connected with someone and we had presence and we had rapport and there was some sort of a spark of connection, whether it's love, friendship, collaboration, inspiration, we have sparks all the time. Why not add more to the fire? Like, why not be uncomfortable in following up? Why not take it upon yourself to follow up 3 times and not be thinking they don't like me and not be thinking of being annoying, but to understand that person is maybe very overwhelmed this week. Maybe that person is having challenge with their kids this week and they checked my message and then they forgot it. Or maybe they're having a hard time in life or in business. Why not send them my favorite book? Why not send them what my favorite tea is to connect? Why not tell them a thought I had that reminded me of them? So for me, the reconnecting part is such an important part, but reconnecting doesn't have to be the next day. Reconnecting could be right now at the event. Imagine I walk into any event and I chose to do some research and I chose to look you up because, you're the event organizer. So like, you're a very important person, but I also recognize that you're going to be very busy and focused during this event. Now, I don't have to tell you I did my research on you, but I can compliment you and say, you know what, Catherine, like, I want to just compliment you. This event you put together is absolutely amazing. I read one of your last articles. It was super inspiring. I just want to let you know, I'm going to be here today until the end of the event. If at any point you need anyone to help you with anything, feel free to tell me, Gil, I need your help and I'm all yours. And let's just say, hey, good luck with the event, because I know you're busy right now. I don't want to take your time, but I just want to plant a seed with you, acknowledge you, compliment you, respect you, and tell you that I'm here from you because genuinely from my heart, me, Gil Petersil, I'm really good at being an event assistant. I have produced over 2,000 events around the world as my company Meet Partners. We produced hundreds of retreats and hundreds of like mastermind dinners and dozens of massive like 10,000 plus events for Eckhart Tolle and Tony Robbins and the biggest people in the world. I love helping others with events because it was like, hey, I can be a part of an event without doing all the hard work. It's a really good hack. Being a volunteer in an event or offering your help to someone is a way to get a little bit of light to shine on you without doing all the hard work, but being a hero for someone else. And the following up aspect could be during the event. Maybe I met you during the event and you're the event organizer. Or maybe I just walked up to you in the beginning of an event and I had some courage to walk up to you next to the tea bar. And I walked up to you and I was a little bit nervous and we had a little conversation. What are you doing at this event? And who did you come to look for? I don't like asking people, where are you from and what do you do? Like, what are you currently working on that's very exciting? Or what's your biggest focus in your life? Like interesting questions. And maybe somehow we found a way to disconnect after some minutes. That's nice. You know, hey, great, have a great event. Or I find there's a lot of different ways of disconnecting for a little bit in a positive way. But maybe an hour or two later, I'm seeing you standing next to a few really interesting looking people. This is great. I want to walk up back to you. And we are already ambassadors for each other. So I can walk up and say, hi, Catherine. Wow, it's been such an amazing couple of hours. You look like you're connecting with such amazing people. Hi, friends. I'm Gil. Nice meeting you. And then suddenly it could be you, Catherine, in a circle saying, oh, this is Gil. And you've just met me like 2 hours ago, but maybe I made a good impression on you and you can introduce me in whatever ways you can. And I'm like, oh, stop and Catherine, you're such an amazing person. It was so lovely to meet you earlier today. That tea we had was so great. It gave me energy with everyone. So you somehow flow in an event, and the reconnecting part is we have always the ability to reconnect. And what I like to tell clients who come to me for business development reasons are like, Gil, we want to develop more clients. We want to have more partners in this country. Help us scale the business. Networking could be used in all aspects of love, mentorship, business, money, whatever we want. I tell them, let's see, before we look for new business, let's see who we can reconnect with. Let's see, who did we leave behind? And my philosophy is that if you had a really good client, see if you can play some sort of a role where you can reconnect with them until the end of your life, even if they don't pay you. Even if it's once a year. Reconnect, even if it's just for 1 minute voice message once a year. Because some times ago, they paid a lot of money to be a client. Why not reconnect with them again? Why not find a way to reconnect and reconnect and reconnect? No one has ever taught me that. And as humans, we are not really good at that. And we want to acknowledge that in ourselves and say, hey, how can I improve not just connecting, but how can I improve reconnecting with someone from my past, or reconnecting with someone that is maybe a celebrity, reconnecting with a past loved ones, reconnecting with family members. There's so much beauty in this question that you were asking, and it is very deep, complex. That's why it's a part of, for me, quantum networking mechanics, because there's so much beautiful detail in reconnecting. It could just take us on this journey.
And the interesting part is that when you do reconnect, the affirmation that you get and the excitement often is mutual. They're like, this person thought of me. Actually, I'll tell you something. Yesterday, I got a text, happy birthday. And I was like, because it was my birthday yesterday. And this person was not in my contact. So I had no idea who this person was. So I'm like, my goodness. I'm like, thank you so much. I don't have your contact name in my phone. Who is this? And he introduced himself as a person that sold me a BMW 13 or 14 years ago.
Wow.
I haven't, I was like, impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think
love
I've ever
that.
heard from him maybe at the first few years, but it's been 13, 14 years. And I'm like, I was so impressed by that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a long time.
This is such a powerful example. Thank you for sharing it. So I've done some things with car dealerships, but I've done a lot with real estate agencies, with real estate agents, where I've taught them how to break down a follow-up methodology. I call them networking value chains, on the power of reconnecting with an old client that gave you enough money to buy a lot. Like, it wasn't, they didn't buy a newspaper from you on the street. They bought something of significance to them. They bought a car, a house, a vacation. They bought something like a coaching program. They spent thousands of dollars with you. There's so many reasons and beautiful ways of reconnecting with them again, because scientifically proven, like numbers, it is 6 times more expensive, both money-wise money-wise, time-wise, energy-wise, to make a new connection than it is to go back to old connections. I tell people this very openly. We don't have to reconnect with everyone. It's completely okay to stay disconnected. It's very healthy to cleanse and shed and let go of connections. I'm going to snooze them for a year. I'm not going to respond to them this year. And you give yourself healthy reasons, not toxic reasons. It's really important to uncouple from people and let go of that person, let them flourish. It's not easy. No one ever taught myself how to change friends in school. I got 3 little kids, and from the age of 4, my kids started asking me about what do I do and what is networking, and I started teaching them networking in an aspect of making friends and changing friends and sharing with friends. If you meet someone and you don't remember their name, it's okay to ask them for their name again. Don't be shy. It's really, really nice to remember people's names, and we forget people's names within a minute of meeting them. So like I taught my kids, if your friends don't make you feel great, it's okay to look for other friends. You don't have to stop talking to them, but have diversity, have new friends, challenge yourself to walk up to the new girl that came to the class. Like I teach my kids, if you have a new kid in school, make yourself like the leader for them. Walk up and say, hey, welcome to the school. And even though 2 of my kids are introverts, it's completely beautiful to teach them to step out of that comfort zone of walking up to a stranger and talking up to people, which introverts are actually really good at. Just in many cases, introverts, because we're so sensitive to our surrounding and to the network, we think that it's shyness, but it's not. It's observation. We're a lot more fulfilled with everything we see. We don't need to walk up and start a conversation. We feel already connected. But as an introvert, to connect further just gives us a lot more energy and life purpose. And it's so beautiful to do that.
Absolutely. Like I told you at the beginning of this, I could speak to you for hours because I think you could teach so much to not only my community, myself, and we're actually going to have a webinar on this topic, and you're going to be leading the room with all of your great visions, your experiences, your teachings, and all of that. So I really look forward to that.
Plan like a pro. Retreat like a boss. Become a retreat boss. Certified retreat planner enroll in our ICF accredited certification. Mastering Retreat certification equips you with everything you need to create transformational retreats that inspire, elevate, and generate revenue. Dream it, design it, deliver it. Enroll now and turn your passion into a profession at RetreatBoss.com.
I want to ask you, when was it in your life or in your career where you're like, this is what changed, what clicked, or who helped you, where everything changed for your life? And this was like the big boom of this is who I am and this is what I need to put out there in the world.
I've been asked this question a few times, and every time I'm thinking, has there been another moment? Because there hasn't been one moment. There's been moments of understanding that if I stand in the back of the room, I'm not going to leave today with a woman's phone number. There was those moments. And then there was moments, if I don't like going to loud clubs, I need to do something about it. I need to take initiative. I need to take steps in my 20s. It's really in my 30s, in my early 30s, when I started working with Tony Robbins a little bit more, and I found myself more confident in different size rooms, where I was asked by a professor at a university in Moscow at the time, can you come and teach our class? It was called Startup Academy. It's a class of entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs. It was a super high-end management school, so like very high-end people. Can you come and teach them about networking? And I was 32 at that time. And I was like, I don't know how to teach. I said to them, I can't really teach. I never went to university. I failed out of 3 high schools. It's not my thing. But why are you asking me? They said, well, most of our students know you. They know you in different events, and they know you. And they're all saying that you are the best networker they know. And Moscow is a big place, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, who are your students? And he starts mentioning names. And I'm like, I don't know any of them. I'm like, look, but they know you. Can you come? And at the time, I was going through a lot of growth opportunities. So starting this thing with Tony Robbins, at the same time, I had a restaurant business, and I had a juice bar business, and I had a mobile app business. And I also opened up a bakery that year. Like I had all these businesses, and I was like, I don't have so much time to do this because all my time and money is going to all these businesses. And then he said, well, we're paying you $5,000 for the class. And I'm like, wow, okay. 90 minutes. At that time, I was starting to do a little bit of coaching. I was not really doing coaching. I was promoting others. And I was like, that's a lot of money for a class. And I acted cool. I had my poker face on, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? When? Yeah." It was very, and it's like, and very quickly I was like, "Is it a one-time thing, or like, well, come one time and let's see what it's like?" And that was the first time that I had to put together a presentation that is about networking, and I still have that presentation. And it was interesting because some of my methodologies are still similar, but they've just expanded a lot more. The idea, for example, I have a very simple methodology of having a complementary mindset, being curious, and following up. Compliments are amazing. You can compliment people in your head. You can compliment people in a boardroom. You can compliment people when you get on stage in front of an audience. Or you can also learn to compliment people vocally. But just the idea of having a complementary mindset is so powerful on so many levels, and it's broken down. I could break it down. I could speak about that for an hour, how and where, and complimenting ourselves. Being curious, asking people questions was so important for me at that time. And I remember speaking about it in front of the audience the first time, because in Russia especially, like, I loved it. I lived it for 10 years. In general, that culture and a few cultures would never compliment a stranger randomly. And in some cultures, if you get complimented, you would think, what does this person want from me?
Yeah.
But it's not true. It's a cult. Someone gave that download to us. Like, it's someone's program. If someone is complimenting you, they just want to connect. Oh my goodness, they had the courage and they had the energy. And sometimes they need to have the respect for you and the self-respect for themselves to compliment you. It's not easy. And then the second one is curiosity. I remember that I was always a curious person, but what took me to this next level of like understanding that I could do this, I can help others, I could teach others, this is a part of my mission, is I was curious why more and more event organizers suddenly invited me to speak about networking. It's like, why me? Like, you haven't written a book about it, and you're not famous about it, and you're not even Russian. You're a foreigner, you're speaking in English in a Russia, and many times you have translators. Like, why you? And I was curious, and I understood that curiosity is the second pillar of networking, on learning how to ask people good questions and learning how to be open-hearted. Instead of having expectations, have appreciation. And instead of wanting to talk about yourself, be curious how we could talk about you, how we could talk about this, how we could talk about the future, not talking about me and my past and my achievements and what I've done and why I'm so good. And the third level was and the curiosity is actually something that I started hacking when I lived in Canada, and I started doing speed dating at a young age. And then in London at a young age in my 20s, is if you learn how to ask women good questions, the date is finished and they love you. I remember in my 20s, I used to literally take a piece of paper and I used to write down really good questions to ask women on a date. And if the woman would go to the bathroom, I would read the questions and I would help myself understand, well, how can I connect with her more? Because I wasn't so good at talking. I wasn't so good at showing off myself or like selling myself. So I learned that a good hack is like, get people to talk about them, but go deep, ask people deep questions. And then this third pillar was all about following up and reconnecting. And over the years, I had to go so deep on reconnecting, and I had to go so deep in coupling and uncoupling, almost like a DNA, almost like a snake. We're just now finishing the year of the snake. Snake moves around mammals and animals and bushes and challenges, and a snake, and we had to do that this past year. We had to move around people and we had obstacles. And this past year, we had more natural disasters than any other year we can remember as human beings. So what is a natural disaster? It's a massive challenge in the network. It's a huge challenge. Like, it's not in our control. What does it mean when someone dies? What does it mean when someone fires you that day? When someone breaks up with you that day? That's a natural disaster. Natural. So 2 years ago, I went through something very beautiful in the world of networking, and I decided with my partner that we would uncouple as a couple. And we've been together for 13 years with 3 kids, multiple businesses, and consciously uncouple is to choose to not divorce, to not separate, to do it with love and appreciation and go through the challenging times of uncoupling. It's not a walk in the park, ladies and gentlemen. Networking is not a walk in the park. It is not easy for any of us. It is not easy for me. And many, many days when I find myself in a new industry, when I find myself in a new country, this year I'm going to go to Japan for my first time. It's going to be uncomfortable. I know it on so many levels. I'm going to go to Monaco for the first time, and it's going to be so uncomfortable. Everyone around me is probably going to be so much more successful than me somehow, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to allow my mind to know that, hey, I'm here to serve you. It doesn't matter if you think you're more successful, if you have bigger houses and bigger cars. It's okay. I know I could serve you. I know I can make a difference. That's my mindset. And in Japan, it's my first time. I'm going to feel disconnected in the beginning, but then I can do 1, 2, 3. And how do I feel connected? So the connection and disconnection, connecting and reconnecting, this is, I think, that journey of coupling and uncoupling through life. And there's so much beauty that we need to find, not just the beauty in networking, we need to also find the help in networking. We can't assume that we can learn how to play the piano by ourselves unless we think we are the next Mozart. We can't think we can learn how to cook on our own. Even Gordon Ramsay, #1 chef in the world, has learned so much from his mom. His first kitchens were all him being a sous chef, him being a dishwasher for others. The greatest human beings in the world have managed to model others. And I have modeled people like Tony Robbins for years. Not that he's taught about networking. Tony Robbins has asked me about networking. In 2018, when I was sitting in front of him in his house, we talked about networking at one point. It was a one-on-one meetup in his house. And he asked me such a beautiful question of what can I help him with? And like, I wanted to know, like, how can I help you, Tony, this year? I've already done a lot. By 2018, I've already brought over 10,000 people to his international events. In 2018, I've co-organized with others an event for 28,000 people for him. So when I'm sitting in front of him in his home, like connecting, I'm like, how else can I help you? Tony, one of my biggest passions is not only promoting or event organizing, but it is the world of quantum networking. And it was so beautiful for him to say to me, yeah, it's not something, I don't want to paraphrase, but it's not something, I'm not so great at networking. I'd like to be better, sort of thing. And it was like such a beautiful thing for such a human being to be open and honest. And I'm like, hey, Tony, nobody is great at networking on my greatest days. And I've been on covers of magazines in a networking guru. I've spoken about it over 1,000 times. On my greatest days, I'm a 6 out of 10 with systems working, because I know what an 8 and 9 out of 10 is. I know that level of human potential. And most people, if I ask them, hey, how do you rank yourself in a world of networking from 1 to 10, understanding the complexities of human connection, personal branding, online, offline networking, following up, managing relationships. Now we can use AI to support us in networking. Most people think they are a 7 or an 8 out of 10. And I feel bad because it means that there isn't much room for improvement. And I tell them, with all due respect, I can give you a networking audit, and I'm happy to give that for free to all of your listeners. If they send me a message anywhere on social media and just put the word audit, I'll send them a free gift. I'm not looking to sell anyone anything. I love giving. Most of my content is free because I learned from people like Tony and people like Eckhart Tolle and even people like Geshe Michael Roach, who wrote the book Karmic Management. I've spent a lot of time with him as well. And I learned that when networking is seen as a karmic practice, it is so beautiful. And when he met me the first time, it was love at first sight. And from the first time we met, the next day, he already asked me to get on stage with him at his events. And for about a year, when he was coming to Moscow, every time he came to the event, I was helping. I was doing something to help because my level of networking is a karmic approach. It's not perfect because, again, I have so much room to learn, because once we start going deep into it, like wanting to learn a new talent, like wanting to learn how to master piano, wanting to learn how to become a Michelin star chef, we must practice with teachers. We must learn from others. We must model others. And I have found many people, one of my greatest teachers of networking is Keith Ferrazzi, who wrote the book Never Eat Alone. And I remember reading his book and I had a dream to meet him. And I managed to not only manifesting meeting him and sharing the stage with him and messing it up a little bit and saying the wrong things and following up with him a few times. And he never responded to my first few emails, and not blaming myself, but having perseverance to follow up with him. And he finally responded and he said, I'm sorry, I was just changing my assistant and we're good friends today. And he's had the meals at my house here in Bali when he came with his partner, and I'm really close to his son. And I love that I built these relationships with people who have been my teachers. And now we are I don't want to say colleagues, but we are friends and collaborators with these people. I can't say Tony Robbins is my friend, but I see him as a mentor. I see him as a collaborator. I see him as someone that I have built a deep love and friendship for. But what is friendship really in the world of networking? So we can look at friendship in so many different, like I want to build a friendship with Tony at that deep level where we call each other randomly on a Thursday evening and have a talk. That is the level of friendship I want to build with someone like Tony, because his network is so in demand, and I respect that. He would have different levels in the network that would help him manage his time, because that's really important. Whenever you want to scale your network, you need to also be very aware of time. And time awareness is so important to study. I've gone very deep into time awareness in the last 5 years to know how to quantum leap and to know how to break down timelines. Instead of taking 9 months to do something, can you take 9 weeks? Instead of taking 10,000 hours to excel and master something, can you take 10,000 minutes? Like, I've looked at a lot of aspects of life to see how we can hack, how we can activate superpowers in networking.
Yeah, that's something I need to really deep dive into and understand, because time is truly every entrepreneur's best friend or worst enemy, because we need to exchange time for money and not time for hours when it comes to business, right?
You know, I'm happy to touch on it. Let's say to everyone that we can dive deep on it on our webinar, because on webinars, I like sharing my screen and giving people frameworks. Now that we're talking, some people they like visually to see frameworks, and how is he breaking down networking? How can I apply networking today inside my business? How can I apply networking to find love? I've helped 18 people get married. Mostly it was women that came to me, and they very intentional, and they spoke to me, and I helped them look into a different program. And all of them within months, very quickly, met the love of their lives, and they're still together today.
Did they make you the best man?
I'll be very honest. I only made it to one of their weddings. Because during that time in my life, I was so active, and I used to call myself a busy man. I now don't insult myself anymore. I would never call someone busy. I think it's an insult of intelligence and time awareness, because we have so much time during the day. We really, really do. I would never say to you, hey, have you had a busy year, or are you busy these days? I would never say to you, I'm sorry, I'm busy this week, or I'm too busy for you. No, I will use other words. My time is currently being dedicated to this project, or I'm sorry that I've not had a chance to follow up with you. I've been really allocating most of my time to my community, my clients, and my family. So I'm giving them an understanding that my time is being given to someone else. Or I've been using time quite mindfully these days. And the fact that we have the same amount of time, I've wanted to see if I can achieve 10 times more than the average human being with the same time we have. And I've done that in my life. Last year, I decided to hack that, and I decided to do a lot less with my time. Last year, during the year of the snake, I networked less than I ever did in my whole life. I still networked. I still went out a little bit, but I went deep inside. I didn't bury myself inside of the hole, even though it felt like I was deep inside of a dark hole with no one around me, and loneliness, and no friends, and who's calling me when I need them the most. But realizing once again that I was not buried in a hole and having all these challenges and problems, but I was planted in a garden that feels a little bit different. And what I need to do in a garden, instead of flourishing out of the garden saying, hey, everybody, I'm a new flower, come and see me. What do plants do? When you plant a plant in a new garden, I'm in Bali, so everything flourishes here. And during COVID, I wanted to study more about quantum networking, and I went deep into permaculture and understanding how nature networks. And there's a lot of very beautiful aspects to the mycelium. And if you plant something very beautiful in your garden, the first thing it does is what?
When you first plant something?
When you first plant something. So this is interesting. And to ground ourselves, we don't just connect to the ground with our roots. You said it right away. What do? We look for other roots. We network. We ground ourselves by connecting ourselves to other roots, because if that plant next to me is much taller, it would get more sun than I do. It would even collect maybe more water. If I'm connected with them, I can take a little bit of their energy and water. And people like to share energy. People like to give money. People like to give time. So I've learned that this past year, I felt myself planted once again. It wasn't my first time, once again, but it was the most uncomfortable stage of my life as a father, as a partner, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I've started this new movement that took me to an uncomfortable place, being reminded I'm planted. I'm like, okay, who am I connecting with? Who am I letting go? Which roots am I letting go of? I'm not going to answer them back. Who is maybe so much bigger than me and I want to connect with them now? How can I reach out to them, but they're so far away? They're in Silicon Valley, or they're in Israel, they're in England. How do I connect with them deeply on a roots level? And I'm not there. And this past year took me there. It took me to this place where, once again, being reminded I'm a plant, I've been planted, I've not been buried, connecting with them roots, and then using this energy together, co-elevation, as Keith Ferrazzi coined. He coined this phrase, co-elevation, within the network. And then you can co-elevate yourself and come out of the ground once again and shine your light on. And it could be in a new country for some people. It could be in a new industry. I've changed industries 20 times in my life. Completely brand new industries. And every time I had to find myself again buried or planted, connecting with people in the industry. And once again, choosing, how do I shine? I'm not an extrovert. And English is my third language, a language that I never learned in school. I had to practice it a lot to learn how to speak it. And this is something I want to leave everybody with, is this ability to know that whenever we feel ourselves buried, it is the network that we need to collaborate with. It is our network that sometimes we need to disconnect with. We need to step away from it a little bit and say, hey, who's got my back? Not who's holding me back.
One thing I want to say too, with what you just said, I will coin you the master of change also, because you've been able to change industries, countries, and that's allowed you to help you with your networking skills as well, right? So being able to do mastering change, and you have to, in order to survive, be able to network. We said that at the beginning, but it's even more, I think, prominent right now with what you just said. Like, it really...
I think it's a practice. For me, I've been called a networking guru, a networking master many times. And I feel sometimes a little bit shy, because I'm like, but please understand that I am not, because I learned what I don't know. And I also still don't know what I don't know. So I'm very comfortable. Like, when one of my teachers said, you know what, Gil, you're right. You're not a networking guru, but you are the #1 student of human networking currently living. By far, I'm very confident to say to people that I'm the #1 student of the arts and sciences of human networking in the world. And I'm very comfortable to say that, because I have practiced it more and I've failed at it more. I'm okay with it. I can't please everyone, and I'm not going to try to make everyone my friend. And I don't need everyone to like me. And I still have that complex where I want people to like me. So I like showing up places and coming with tea. I like bringing tea, and I like coming in and serving. I like that during the New Year's Eve festival that I went to, in my little bag, not only did I have tea, but I also had 3 different kinds of chocolates. So past midnight, a few of us are sitting in one of this quiet areas, someone is serving tea, and suddenly Gil pulls out 3 artisan, high quality chocolates at like 1 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of the year. And people are like, what? Where did that? Like, suddenly 3 epic, high quality chocolates. I like doing that. So for me, it's a networking hack. Some people say, oh, you're trying to be a people pleaser. Sometimes it's great to do that. It's my form of hospitality.
Yeah. And you'd be my best friend at that moment. I'd be like, come here, yeah.
Being hospitable is what I tell people. Like, hospitality is the greatest way to learn how to network. Learning how to host in your house, or learning how to co-host, or learning how to host a dinner at a restaurant. Learning how to do that. Just bring people together from a form of, I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm connecting you. It is such a powerful ability. And because of this, I have this like hunger and fire inside of me for so many years to be hospitable and to raise my standards. And I love co-hosting with others, like high-level events. I love it when people say, hey, can you come and be our co-producer for the event? Because I've produced so many events. I don't need to produce so many of my own events anymore. I'd rather help someone else, because I can help them a lot more and it takes a lot less of my energy. And I created this whole movement called Chatea. Chatea is taking hospitality to a whole different level. So I see Chatea as, we are ushers of a new era of hospitality. I see myself as a pioneer in the tea renaissance, where I believe so much that one of the greatest hacks for human networking and human presence is having a cup of tea with someone or with a group of people. And the way you're having it and the format and the ritual or not ritual, ceremony, a salon, there's of course many, many, many levels. Having a random tea at something like Starbucks, sorry, Starbucks, you really don't serve good tea. But having a quick tea with someone at Starbucks doesn't count. Sorry, it doesn't count. I believe in having a beautiful warm cup of tea with someone in front of you that's not rushed, that's not mass produced, that's produced here. You go to their home, you go to their office, they come to you, you sit somewhere and you create space to connect. And whether it's hot brew or cold brew tea, I believe in warm. Having that warm drink in front of us, specifically tea. I got nothing against coffee drinkers out there, but I have something. Alcohol is not our solution. I've not had alcohol for 13 years. It was Tony Robbins who gave me, at the age of 33, in my first event with Tony Robbins, he gave the entire audience a challenge of cut down all these unnecessary things in your life for 10 days and see how you feel. And I did that for 10 days. And I never went back to alcohol since. I had alcohol twice since, from my bachelor party, because everyone said you have to. And I was like, okay, let's see. I did not like it. And another time for my wedding night, because I was a little bit nervous. People say, oh, have a glass of wine, it's going to relax you. No, it doesn't. Having a cup of tea in that moment would have been so much better, by the way. Even for my bachelor party, I could have had a ginseng cup of tea with some lion's mane in it, some lion's mane mushroom. That would have given me energy like alcohol would.
Yeah.
These days, I like having functional teas as a form of adjusting my body and having more energy or calming myself down, or having a date. Taking a date to a tea house is very romantic. Taking a business meeting to a tea house is very, very effective.
When you say that, very effective business-wise, in what way?
In what ways?
People see teas more of a social thing, more of a like afternoon thing at home, more of an English thing, right? There's like Hindu, there's certain people, certain customs that have it. And there's customs behind those customs, right? There's something deep, which people don't really look into on this side of the world. In the Western world, we just don't really think of it, right? Tea is tea. How is it effective for business? Why is it effective for business?
So this has become, in the last 2 years, the most exciting topic in my life. And I want to just give this to everyone as a gift that, at the age of 45, ladies and gentlemen, I completely reshifted my life. I found something that became a new passion. It became a new hobby. It became not just a new business, but it became aligned perfectly with my mission. Everything somehow connected. I started traveling for tea. I'm a tea enthusiast. Why is it effective? For billions of people in the world, for 5,000 years, tea has been used as a form of human connection and hospitality. So for thousands of years, traditions around the world, all the way from China to India, tea has been a welcoming offering when you came in to connect. And of course, if you go to China today, in 90% of the business meetings, they will offer you tea right away. And they're not going to offer you random tea like black tea or red tea with a cheap tea bag. Sorry, Twinings and all you other guys out there, I don't like you. Like, I hope that one of those big guys one day, not now, I hope one of those big guys sues me, because it's the cheapest, lowest quality of a medicine. Tea is a medicine. It's natural. It's nature. And it's also, the tea bags are full of chemicals and full of like plastics. Tea in its raw form, it could be in a natural tea bag. That's a high vibe tea. That's an organic tea that's served with presence, creates immediate human connection. It builds trust so quickly. It builds this, you don't have a chance. Like, you cannot be present with tea, because in many, many cases, like, you're not going to come into a meeting and suddenly randomly start talking about business or randomly start looking at your phone when tea is being served in front of you. So it demands presence. It creates space for connection. It creates this ability to build rapport so quickly, because what we're doing is we're just enjoying a good cup of tea. And you can look at it as in a form of ritual and ceremony. We love sitting around a fire. We love, as human beings. Many humans love opening a bottle of wine and talking about the vineyard and the year, and they serve it slowly in a ceremonial way. We love having sharing sessions, or we love being in circles as humanity. We love doing that. Tea is one of the oldest forms of ceremony that is still practiced today by billions of people. And for billions of people in Asia, they call it cha, C-H-A. For billions of people in India, Middle East, and Russia, the British got it wrong because no one ever taught them to not leave the tea in the water for too long. So they didn't understand. And they left it for too long and it was not nice, but they understood. The royal family understood the power of tea ceremony. And they added milk and sugar to allow it to be bearable. Because tea is not nice. If you leave it in hot water for too long, it's not tasty. It disconnects. So people have bad quality teas and they don't like the experience. But good quality teas don't need milk and sugar. And if they do, then add high quality maybe plant milk, or add natural sugars, like adding maybe, like with good quality teas, you can add a tangerine peel to it, or you can add a flower to it. You can add a ginger to it. You can infuse your tea. And to me, this ability to that's why I called it Chatea, cha from Asia, tea, Chatea. Connecting East and West traditions, but it's also teaching people that it's okay to be chatty, and there are new codes to being chatty. And this is now my new mission I'm on, and I'm now looking for partners and looking for more people that want to help me scale. We have a really amazing platform. We have chatty social infusions. I want to compete with the greatest bars in the world, the greatest events in the world. When you have your next event, if you're going to have a bar, which I hope you don't, but events have a bar on the left side, I'm going to create the most amazing tea bar on the right side. And I'm going to compete with them. I'm going to show them how humanity doesn't need alcohol to connect. It's a misunderstanding. And I have nothing against people who wish to have a glass of wine. Go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to. But I'd like to give humanity an alternative for deep human connection.
I love it, Gil. And by the way, in Greek, it's called tsai.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all
just pronounced
it's all the same. It's all it's all coming from the same roots.
This has been fantastic. Like I said, I could speak to you for hours and hours because you have so much knowledge in this space. I want to thank you so much for just sharing everything that you did with us for this past hour. And I can't wait for it to go on RetreatBoss magazine for people to read about you in the article. I can't wait for the webinar that we're going to do together, where you're going to teach so much more in detail about what we spoke about today.
We'll make it interactive. What we could tell people about the webinar, we could do it whenever you want. I have time. I want to make it very interactive, very functional, so that when people leave, they're leaving with something functional and practical that they can actually hack their life today. And I believe in you so much because the people that you serve are people that serve others. Retreat organizers, to me, are the pillars of the future. It's like they are the teachers. And when we were young in school, teachers are those pillars. Retreat organizers are the same level for me. They are so important. They are pillars of the future of how we connect as humanity. So I'm going to do everything I can this year to serve you and help you. And if anyone in your community wants more from me, they can even send me a word gift, and I'll send them a gift. I'll give them a lot for free to just send me the word gift anywhere I'm the only Gil Petersil on Google, so it's easy to find me. Send me the word gift and let me gift you something. And if you tell me that you've listened to me here with Catherine, I'm even going to give you even more. But that I can't tell you what that secret is. That's extra. But you, Catherine, you should know that you will always have a green card from me. And a green card in the world of networking, it means that you have a green light to ask me for help 24 hours a day whenever you want. And the easiest hack in asking someone for help, it's specifically Gil Petersil, is sending them a 1-minute voice message.
Yeah.
You have a green card for the rest of our lives together to ask for help. Asking for help to me is a sign of strength. It's a sign of growth. It's a beautiful way to give me the ability to have good karma because I'm able to help you. So, you've been there for me and I'm fully there for you. Thank you for today. And thank you for your depth and your questions.
Thank you. And I am there for you. And I'll keep reminding you if I don't hear from you for a while and be like, what do you want? I'm here. So thank you so much, Gil. For anybody who wants to continue maybe reading an article or even joining the webinar, we will have all those links available for you below. So thank you so much again, Gil. And until the next time we speak, take care of yourself and drink a lot of tea.
Let's chat soon.
Let's chat soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Want to learn more on expanding your business with retreats? Visit RetreatBoss.com. Be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show at RetreatBoss.com/podcast. Until next time, take care.